Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. Today we are going to take a look at the characters you can get in DC Dark Legion. So let's get this party started. And I can already hear you ask, how can we get characters in Dark Legion? At the end of the day, you get the characters as random drops as you play the game. There are times where there might be events where you could get a specific character, although even then, like when we did get the Deathstroke event, I did not get the Deathstroke as a random drop, but I did get Superman as a random drop when we did get the Superman event. Although there are a couple of exceptions, for some reason you can purchase the Harley Quinn ally for like $2 on the marketplace, and in the case of the Batman, after you log in for 7 days, you will get the Batman character in your team. So these are the two exceptions I can think of. Other than that, you will have to get the characters as random drops during certain events, or you do get mother boxes in the game. When you open those mother boxes, there's a chance you might get a character at random. Sadly, most of the time, the characters you do get are like generic clowns or stuff like that. And the latest event we got is an event with the evil Joker, and I was lucky, I did get the Joker.
I am vengeance.
So we have quite a selection of characters so far, but let us start with the Batman. I will make videos about each characters later on, but here we'll take a quick look at our friend the Batman. Here you can see the stats of the Batman characters and the various abilities. There is some sort of star ratings with your characters. The more stars your character has, the more powerful you will be. Basically, you get characters at random, as I mentioned, but when you do get a character at random that you already have, what it does is that it adds extra stars to the character. So even if you do get at random a character you already have, even if you do get a character multiple times, it's not wasted. When you do get a character you already have, it does make the character you have a bit more powerful. There is also gear you can equip on your character, and you will be able to upgrade that gear. And there are legacy items that will make your characters more powerful, and you can upgrade those legacy items. And also, if you do get a duplicate of that legacy item, it will still make your legacy item more powerful. And each character does have a skill tree. As you upgrade those skills, your character will be even more powerful. So there is a whole bunch of ways to be able to increase the strength of your characters. Again, either by increasing the strength of your character directly, adding some better gear to your character, upgrading the gear, and more. I will make videos about all the characters, so we will take a better in-depth look at the character in a future video, and the same with all the characters. Batman is a pretty powerful character that does damage. He will do damage to a whole bunch of enemies, and he does hit like a truck, so he does do quite a bit of damage.
I am Superman. I've got this.
And then we have our friend Superman. Superman is quite powerful as well. He does do damage. Although unlike Batman, Batman does do damage to a whole bunch of enemies. Superman is pretty much a single target character, but he does hit like a truck. And he can also stun enemies a little bit, basically with his freeze breath, he can freeze an enemy. So he can hit pretty hard, and he does have a little bit of crowd control.
Hand me my bow.
Green Arrow is a pretty good DPS, but he pretty much is a single target DPS.
I will take care of this.
Mera is a pretty darn good healer. The one drawback with that character though is that sometimes it takes a long time before she casts her healing ability, and in some fights, by the time she casts her healing ability, half of the group is already gone.
I will gladly accept this task.
Wonder Woman is a pretty good tank with some crowd control. She doesn't hit as hard as Superman, she doesn't do as much damage as Superman, but she has a bit more survivability. And she has a crowd control ability that does a whole bunch of damage to a whole bunch of enemies, and she will stun those enemies. Although there are some enemies that seems to be immune to stun abilities, so sadly when you're facing enemies that cannot be stunned, her ability is not as powerful.
Step aside and let the real genius handle it.
And next we have the evil Lex Luthor. He pretty much is a damage dealer, and he can deal damage to a whole bunch of enemies. He has an ability that deals damage to a whole row of enemies. Sadly, sometimes he will cast that ability on a single enemy, as opposed to casting it where he could do damage to a whole bunch of enemies.
Where there's a will, there's a Green Lantern.
Here we have our friend Green Lantern. He's pretty much the best healer in the game, I think. Unlike Mera takes a long time before she starts casting healing abilities. Green Lantern starts casting his healing abilities straight at the beginning of the fight. He also does a bit of damage, so he's a pretty darn good character.
I'm the fastest man alive!
The Flash is a pretty good support character. He does do a little bit of damage, but he also has the ability to refill the ultimate ability of another character. So depending on the ability you need, you could get him to, let's say, refill the ability of Batman if you want Batman to do a whole bunch of damage to a whole bunch of characters, or you could have him refill the ability of Superman if you want Superman to do a whole bunch of damage to a single character, or if you need some extra healing, you could have him recharge the ability of Green Lantern so that you can get some more healing for your group. Sadly, in some battles, like there's some PvP battles where sadly the auto attack is locked and you do not control what abilities your character use and on which character they use those abilities. So sadly, very often in that situation, a Flash will cast his ability on the wrong character. It's sad, but that's how it is. But overall, he's a pretty good character to have.
Robin is on it.
I did not use Robin a lot, although I did fight him quite a lot, so he does hit like a truck. So he seems to be a pretty good DPS character.
Shazam to the rescue!
Shazam can do a bit of damage, he can stun a whole bunch of enemies, but also one ability he has is that when he falls in battle, he can actually come back in battle. So you see him fall in battle, he turns into Billy Batson, and then after a short amount of time, he turns back into Shazam and gets back into battle.
I am Aquaman.
And here we have our friend Aquaman. Holy crap, Aquaman is a pretty powerful character. He does have like a whirlpool ability that will do a whole bunch of damage, but also it will pull a whole bunch of characters together. Combined with Batman, they're lethal combos. Basically, Aquaman casts his ability. If you place the ability well, you can get all the enemies together, and then Batman drops his huge ability on all that group. That's pretty awesome. The one drawback though is that in some fights you don't control what happens, so when that's the case, very often he will cast his ability on the wrong character. But if you can place his ability in the right spot, you can crowd control an entire group of enemies.
Oh, I can do it! It'll be a scream!
And next we have the evil Joker. I just got this character, so I don't know all that much about him just yet. Although for some reason they keep on trying to modernize the Joker, in this case by giving him like a different haircut. The Joker is a timeless character. He should not be modernized by giving him a more modern haircut or a current day haircut. They should have kept his classic haircut because it pretty much makes the character timeless.
Sounds like you need me.
And here we have the Penguin. I did not use him all that much, but basically he's pretty much a DPS that can summon some pet penguins in battle.
I like looking mysterious. I am mysterious.
Raven is a pretty good healer. The one drawback maybe is that in order to heal, she has to turn into a raven in order to do her healing ability, and then she turns back into herself. But while she turns into the Raven, or while she turns back into herself, she pretty much takes herself out of combat for a bit. So that's the one drawback for that character.
Batgirl, over and out.
Batgirl is a support character that will buff her group and do a little bit of damage. Although, full disclosure, I did not use her all that much, so that's pretty much all I can say.
I'm all over it.
And next we have a Cyborg. Poor Cyborg. What did they do to you? I was a big fan of Cyborg way back when I first saw him in the new Teen Titans. And sadly, ever since, they've always been trying to somehow modernize, update the character, and they failed miserably at every turn. And at this point, Cyborg is pretty much nothing like what he was way back when he was first created. In the game, he's pretty much a support character. He can do a little bit of a debuff, it can do a little bit of buff, and it can do some damage, so he can do a little bit of everything. I guess he's a jack of all trades, you could say.
I'll take care of this, with a little help from my secret garden.
Poison Ivy is a pretty good healer. She does also do damage, But our most, I would say, not powerful, but our most useful ability is that she does summon a whole bunch of plants, and sadly, way too often, your characters will waste time attacking the plants instead of attacking Poison Ivy or one of the other enemies. So while your characters are distracted attacking those plants, the enemy NPCs are beating the snot out of your squad. It's sad, but that's how it is. She's a popular option in PvP because sadly in PvP you do not control where your character attack, and way too often they waste time attacking those plants and they get destroyed while they do that.
I can do this, dead or alive.
And next we have our friend Red Hood. I did not use him all that much, but he seems to be a pretty good DPS that does a whole bunch of damage. And next we have our friend Black Adam. He's pretty good at dealing damage. It can do damage to a whole bunch of enemies, but sadly it is pretty much in a straight line. So you have to try to get his attack to line up with as many enemies as possible.
Red Robin is all over it.
I did not use Red Robin all that much, but he seems to be a pretty good damage dealer. Dr. Fate is a pretty good character. He does do a bit of damage, but his main ability is that he will shield your group. So he does have an ability that shields the entire group, but he also has an ability that shields a single character if he needs to. Next we have our friend Captain Cold. He seems to be a damage character, but full disclosure, did not use him very much. But he seems to do also a bit of crowd control by freezing enemies. That's pretty much all I can say right now.
Let me at him!
I did not use Harley Quinn very much, but she seems to stun enemies, and when I fight groups where there's Harley Quinn, holy crap, I get stunned a lot. She seems to be healing as well, and of course, she does do a bit of damage, so she kinda does a bit of everything, so I guess it would be fair to say that she's pretty much a jack of all trades. And for some reason, it's the one character that you can buy from the marketplace for like $2.
I'd love to have a little fun.
For Catwoman, full disclosure, I barely use the character, so I know she does a bit of damage, but I haven't played her enough to be able to say anything about her.
Ooh, I'll tackle this from both angles.
For Two-Face, he seems to be a pretty good damage dealer, and he does a whole bunch of damage to multiple characters with his machine gun. And we do have a whole bunch of clowns that we can add to our group. Although, full disclosure, I use those characters only when I have no other choice. So there's not much I can say about those characters. Early on, you have no choice. You pretty much have to use at least some of them. There's also a couple of cops you can use. But early on when you start the game, you have access to Green Arrow, you have Wonder Woman, and you quickly gain access to Catwoman, if I recall correctly. But you can have 5 characters in your group, so in order to be able to fill the group, sometimes I had to use some of them clowns.
I was born and molded for this.
And now we're getting to the characters that I do not have in my group just yet, and you'll see underneath Bane's portrait, 0 out of 40. Basically, there's a few ways you can get characters. You can get them as random drops, but also very often what you do get is crystals. And in the case of, let's say, a character like Bane, you need 40 Bane crystals in order to unlock the characters. The same with Constantine. You can see Constantine, you need 40 crystals. So there are characters where you need only 20 crystals. There are characters where you need 40 crystals. Why? I have no idea at this point. And although I don't have Bane in my group just yet, I did fight against him quite a few times, and he is quite a formidable character. He does quite a bit of damage. As for Constantine, he seems to be healing, but at the same time, he seems to be doing a whole bunch of damage. Like at some point, he casts this huge circle that seems to do damage and heal his group, all at the same time.
Deathstroke is here, so bring the body bags.
I was not able to get Deathstroke as a random drop, even when we did get the event with Deathstroke, but he seems to be a damage dealer, and he seems to hit like a truck. There is Hawkgirl also included in the roster, but I never saw her in the game, so I have no idea what she does. The same with Martian Manhunter. Is it a character that was part of a past event? Is it a character that is not in the game just yet? I have no idea.
I've got this.
I did not use Nightwing all that much, but he seems to be a good DPS. He seems to be doing a good amount of damage.
You need something scary.
From what I understand, they did add the Scarecrow recently. Like, we still have the Scarecrow event in the game alongside the Joker event. Although, I guess the Scarecrow event will be replaced soon by another event. Although, again, I am a bit surprised because you would have thought that a Scarecrow event would have been a no-brainer to release, let's say, in October, let's say for Halloween. But I guess someone decided not to do that.
I've always loved the color yellow.
Sadly, I did not get a chance to use a Sinestro just yet, but I can tell you that when he was in groups that I fought, he hits like a truck, so he seems to be doing a whole bunch of damage.
You should see what I pull out of my hat.
I never used the Zatanna, and obviously I don't have her in my group just yet. I did meet her once or twice. In PvP, I fought one or two groups where Zatanna was there, but I couldn't tell you what she does. And here we have Arsenal, also known as Red Arrow. Never saw the character in the game, so I have no idea if he's even in the game just yet. I saw Black Canary once, maybe twice in the game, and I have no idea what she does. I did not see Blue Beetle just yet in the game, so again, I don't know if is he in the game and I just did not see him just yet. Is he going to be added in the game at a future date? I guess we will have to wait and find out. I think I saw Deadshot once or twice in the game, but I couldn't tell you what he does. A quick guess is he's probably doing some sort of a machine gun attack, but if I did see him in the game, I was in the heat of the battle, and I don't recall if he did anything special. And we have Starfire. I did not see her in the game just yet. I love though the 2D artwork that they did. I wish the whole game was like that. Oh well. And last but not least, the Riddler. Again, he is part of the roster, but I don't recall seeing him in the game just yet. So there we go, guys. So that pretty much covers the current roster of playable characters we have in the game. So again, as I mentioned, there are some events sometimes that will give you an extra chance to be able to get some of the characters, like in this case the Joker, but there's no guarantee. It is still a random drop, so you could still not get the Joker as a random drop, even if it is the Joker event. Now, after 60 draws, you are guaranteed a Legendary Champion or a Legacy piece. So you could end up with a Legacy piece instead of the Champion. So sadly, getting the Mythic Champions or even the Legendary Champions will be a bit challenging. So even if you get lucky enough to get one of the Mythic characters or one of the Mythic items, unless it is the featured character from the event, there's no guarantee you'll get the character or the item that you want. So here you see the legendary characters you could get, but most of the time you will get an epic character or an epic item, and here you can see the details and the odds of getting those characters or those items. So you will have to be a little bit lucky if you're looking for a very specific character. So right now we do have the Scarecrow event, the Joker event. At some point those events will be replaced by other events. But there is the Brave and the Bold event that is always there. If you draw from the Brave and the Bold event 300 times, you will be able to choose one legendary character. You will be able to choose either the Batman, the Flash, Green Lantern, and I believe the other two choices were Shazam, and I forget what the other choice was. Basically, you could choose amongst 5 legendary characters, so you could select the one you wanted. But that means playing the long game, because you will have to draw from the Brave and the Bold event 300 times. So there you go, guys. So these are the playable characters. But if you want more information about those characters, don't worry. I will make detailed videos with each of those characters. Obviously, I will start with the characters I have, and those I don't have just yet, I'll have to wait until I actually manage to get my hands on those characters. We shall see.